Mukidori Ryuji begins playing the game Infinite Dendrogram. He is transferred to a virtual environment where he encounters Control AI Cheshire and provides him with a quick lesson, assists him in creating his avatar and selecting his player name, gives him his 0th form embryo and beginning equipment, and then transports him to Altia, the Kingdom of Alter's main city. He enters the city as Ray Starling, where he collides with Liliana Grandria and sustains severe injuries. After treating him, she asks Ray whether he has seen her sister Million. When he informs her he hasn't seen her because he just arrived in the city, she sends him a letter with her contact information so he may contact her if he does see her, prompting Ray to accept a level 5 quest. Ray next visits the city's center fountain, where he meets his brother, Shu Starling, as seen in the game. Shu then explains to him the nature of missions in this realm and their implications. After figuring out that Million went to the old Rivet orchard to pick roomberries, Ray asks Shu for his help to finish the quest. They come just in time to assist Liliana deal with a swarm of bug creatures. They are then ambushed by many demi-tapeworms, who take Shu down into the ground just as he is ready to unleash the power of his embryo's 4th form. Liliana asks Ray to transport her sister to safety while she protects them. On their journey back to the door, Ray and Million are attacked by a demi-dragworm. So Ray gives Million a life-saving brooch he acquired from Shu and urges her to go ahead, while he uses the other potions and equipment he received to hold it back. The demi-dragworm then attempts to attack Million, who is rescued by the brooch, but is knocked unconscious. Ray, out of items, asks his embryo to give him the opportunity to save Million, forcing his embryo, Nemesis, to awaken and save them. Nemesis evolves into a sword, and Ray defeats the demi-dragworm with the skill Vengeance is Mine. Ray, Nemesis, and Shu say goodbye to a grateful Liliana and Million, after which Ray discovers that Million went to the old Rivet orchard in the first place because Shu bought all the rumberries in the market for his welcome party, prompting Ray to chastise Shu. Celebrating Ray's success, Shu talks about the different types of embryos. As for Liliana not liking Shu, well, there was a past between them. 6 months ago, the machine city of Drife Imperium waged a war on this Alter kingdom. The former massacred the latter easily, all because Alter's king didn't put up any reward for this unlike Drife. Hence, many top-ranked players did not join. To add salt to injury, Drife's neighbor, Caldina, invaded in the middle. Many in Alter died, and they lost a lot of their land. Liliana's father, who was the knight commander, was one of the many killed. Liliana is mad at Shu as he didn't participate in the war. He couldn't risk his gear breaking and revealing his identity. After the war, many migrated to other nations, and with the rankings shuffled, Ray thinks it is a good idea to be a top-rank player. Ray decides to become a paladin. There are strict criteria to become one, but Ray can meet almost all its conditions. After parting ways with Shu, Ray and Nemesis adventure on their own. Along the way, they meet and help another new player, Rook Holmes, and his nemesis, Babylon. They become friends. Later, Ray barely dodges an attack from something that tried to kill him. He realizes somebody is doing player killing. Ray tries to run but gets killed. After returning from his death penalty, Nemesis blames herself for being unable to protect Ray, while Ray soothes her by saying they were both too weak and that they can continue to get stronger together. Due to player killers currently attacking the area around Alter, Ray and Nemesis head to the Tomb Labyrinth to continue grinding. While Ray is dismayed to find that he wasted 100,000 lure on a Tomb Labyrinth exploration permit he didn't actually need due to being a paladin, Nemesis is disgusted by the appearance of the flesh zombies on the first floor, vehemently recoiling at the idea of cutting them with her sword form. When Ray and a forlorn Nemesis approach the staircase to a lower floor, they are attacked by the top of the kingdom's dual rankings, Figaro, who mistook them for a monster. After apologizing for the mishap and a discussion about their dungeon diving, Ray tells Figaro about the PK blockade of the capital. Figaro then leaves, telling Ray that he will handle the PK and that he admires Ray for not breaking in front of his attack and hoping to duel him in the future. After leaving the dungeon themselves after further grinding, Ray cleans the undead goop off of a traumatized Nemesis in their in-room. Ray and Rook talk about the sudden disappearance of player killers. Marie Adler, who is a journalist, joins in this discussion to give them some juicy details. Of course it isn't going to be free. She confirms that top players from each region have taken out the player-killer groups. Like in the south, Figaro single-handedly destroyed the Mad Castle clan. Then in the east, Tsukuyo Fuso of the Lunar Society eliminated the threats, while in the west, Lele, prodigal of feasts, did the honors. In the north, the player-killer group is unknown as they attack from the shadows. But with the battleship might of the King of Destruction, the entire forest is destroyed. Even so, it is believed the PK group, only known as the Superior Killer, escaped alive. Ray and Nemesis head there to check things out when Nemesis discovers a secret portal that no other players could have found. It leads to Cheshire as he explains how player killers aren't punished unless that person is most wanted on the list. Because players who have committed sins can just log out and log back in as a new free person. This would only lead to repeat offenders. There is a prison to lock up those players, but that player must be defeated first. This means the strongest criminals would most likely remain at large. Ray returns to Rook as they look through the guide to earn money from jobs, now that the path to Gideon has been reopened. Marie wants to join in too since she has business in Gideon. Meanwhile, travelers are ambushed by goblins. Fleeing them is one thing, but then they got owned big time by Berserker. Ray and his party stumble into goblins ambushing travelers. They help them kill those annoying green pests. Rook might have taken the lion's share in eliminating the pack, but it's not over because the big goblin boss, Garda, drops in to avenge his underlings. They can't get too close to him, seeing he can spew poisonous miasma. Ray gets hit and finds his life force depleting. Marie's elixir helps stop the decline for a few minutes. Enough time for him to slice and destroy his head. However, as he remembers clearly, such monsters have their heart in the stomach. With the elixir's effect over, Ray has no more strength left. Then some option pops up for Nemesis. Must decide whether to take this or not. While Garda is charging, Ray accepts this gamble, and this allows Nemesis to transform into her second and more powerful form. He has his life bar healed, and his skills are sharper. He fights on par with the monster boss until he finally destroys his entirety with a single blow. He receives a special item as a reward for this victory and is even named as MVP. But Ray knows that he didn't entirely deliver the finishing blow by himself. Somebody shot his embryo to help hasten Gardranda's defeat. In the aftermath, a funeral is held for unfortunate NPCs who were killed. Ray questions if this is really a game. For defeating Garda, a bounty reward is also given, so Ray and Co. argue who should get the lesser share. Ray practices his newly acquired skills, but it backfires. He is then approached by a strange guy in a penguin suit. Flamingo is his name. He gives Ray something to drink, and he just drinks it like that without batting an eyelid. Thanks to that, he grows a pair of animal ears. Ray is mad and threatens to slice him if he is not turned back. Flamingo claims his experiment is a success and even wants to take a picture of Ray topless. He runs away and assures the effects will be gone after 10 hours of login time. Ray wonders if he knows him because Flamingo knows his name. Ray is worried about his ears. He shops around for new clothes since Rook got a cool coat himself. Seeing a long queue at the gacha, Ray tries his luck. So he got a silver horse. Unfortunately, he can't ride it despite being a paladin. So he must have obtained such skill as a lowly knight first. He learns that it is going to cost a lot just to learn that skill. Need to go find a job. Then he spots a woman being surrounded by ruffians. She is supposed to hand them ransom money to secure her little brother's release, but they're going back on their word. Before Ray could jump in and help her, another hero, Hugo Lesseps, did so. He gets beaten up. Ray punches one guy out and has the rest fleeing. The woman pleads to save her brother because this clan is famed for not only kidnapping but eating children. Of course, the heroes will do this free of charge. Hugo then introduces his embryo, Psycho, who has interrogated those ruffians in their hideout. Then he summons his mecha so they can head over there. Hugo fights the ruffians outside to allow Ray to head deeper into the base to rescue. To his horror, he sees murdered children in zombie form trying to kill him. Nemesis is mad at the despicable person who would do this. Ray burns them all to free their suffering. Then he starts to understand what Hugo meant about players who have maiden-type embryos not believing infinite dendrogram is a game. It could be these feelings close to being real that made it hard for them to carry on and quit. Meanwhile, Hugo faces off with the gang's boss, Goose. As a strong monster, Hugo is easily owned. Hugo thought of retreating to avoid the penalty of death, but after seeing eating children and targeting live ones, screw all that. So he releases the seal on Psycho to turn her into her true form. So Cossidus, her real name, becomes some armor to enhance his mecha. Back to Ray. He enters a room and rescues a kid lying in the middle of some incantation circle. He walked straight into it and got killed. The mastermind is some centaur, Maze. He brags about the need to take lives in order to become some immortal, and he is close to achieving it. Because Ray revives and attacks him, Maze's attacks bear no impact, so he runs outside for Goose to help. Too bad he is dead. Cornered, Maze begs for his life and will give all his money. Ray doesn't want money. His life is good enough payment, and he punches his head off. While they go rescue the children inside, the bandits try to steal the loot. They carelessly touch Maze's item, so it activates some trap and absorbs all of them, including the dead, into this giant monstrous centaur. When Ray and others come out, they see this. They have no chance of beating it at this rate, but Ray will hold it off enough for Hugo to bring the children to safety. Then there's something Nemesis said about them having a chance to beat it. Because they absorbed Maze's attacks, they need to time their attack when Maze's grudge is in control and then move in for the kill. Though they manage to find the core that Maze is controlling, Ray takes a lethal blow. Unconscious, Nemesis lets him drink whatever potion is left to heal him. Nemesis now goes off to fight the monster. Meanwhile, somebody is showing Ray his past. At a time he saved a girl from oncoming traffic, but it caused his elder brother, Shuichi, to sprain his ankle. He felt guilty because he was participating in a martial arts competition that day. So Shuichi told him how proud he was of his actions and some radix point explanation. As long as you don't give up, the possibility still exists. And Big Brother showed him by winning the tournament. This flashback is shown by Garda. He is now in the form of a cute ogre girl. Ray wakes up to help Nemesis in trouble with his new power. The monster is defeated, and he gets new goodies. Meanwhile, we see Flamingo and Hugo know each other. Hugo notes Ray will be a hindrance to their plan, but Flamingo says he has no cause to worry. If their plan goes well, some war they are waging will end with minimal casualties. Ray sees Marie for advice about his weakness, so she tells him to raise his agility and endurance stats instead of just focusing on strength. And something about Embryo needing an ultimate skill. Because Marie hinted as though her own embryo has got it, Ray notes he has never seen hers. Marie then changes the topic. She then gives tickets to Gideon to watch the tournament in which one of the anticipated matches is Figaro against Zenyu. Later, Ray and Nemesis meet up with Shu to talk about things. Nemesis gets to know Shu's real life. To put it shortly, it is all over the place. Though he is now retired and living with his earnings he won from the lottery, before that he was doing jobs as an actor, singer, martial artist, and even assistant lecturer. Ray then meets up with Hugo to split his huge reward from the recently defeated monster. Ray and the team are at Gideon to watch the tournament. During the break, he thought Shu was supposed to come watch with them, but he didn't. Going to find him, it seems Shu is talking to Figaro. It seems both of them have something to hide from Ray, so they lie and pretend about stuff. Shu gives Ray some telepathy cuff he never got the chance to give him. He can chat with another friend equipped with this. At the main Coliseum in Gideon, Ray Starling is about to place a massive bet on a fighter named Figaro when he is interrupted by Zenyu, a powerful figure carrying the dazed Lan Meihai. Zenyu mocks the betting rates, and after some tension, Ray is confronted by Zenyu and their ominous energy. A fight almost breaks out between Ray and Zenyu, but it is interrupted by Shu Starling, Ray's elder brother, who reveals himself to be a formidable fighter. Zenyu expresses interest in fighting Shu, but they soon focus on the upcoming match between Zenyu and Figaro. The match begins with both fighters displaying incredible abilities, with Zenyu using powerful elemental and Fu magic. Figaro counters with his own mysterious skills, showing that his equipment's power increases over time. As the battle intensifies, Figaro uses his embryo abilities and gear strategically, revealing that his power grows the longer he fights, even to the point where he becomes almost unstoppable. Figaro's ability to adapt and power up throughout the fight leads him to victory. However, just as Figaro defeats Zuniu, the match is interrupted by Dr. Flamingo, a mysterious figure who stops time and reveals himself as Mr. Franklin, a superior with a notorious reputation. He mocks the audience and introduces an unconscious Elizabeth's altar, creating a tense atmosphere as he challenges the onlookers to a game, leaving the crowd shocked and confused. Marie encounters Elizabeth, the second princess of the kingdom, who has run away from her attendants to explore the city. They quickly form a bond, with Marie calling Elizabeth Ellie. Meanwhile, Franklin causes chaos by releasing monsters across the city and threatening the kingdom's masters. He mocks the kingdom's superiors and attempts to break their spirits before a potential war by kidnapping Elizabeth and instigating destruction. As Franklin enacts his plan, Marie fights off thugs and evades Franklin's forces, but he manages to capture Elizabeth. Meanwhile, a group of traitorous masters, working with Franklin, face off against Ray and other rookie masters. Despite their initial strength, they are outsmarted and defeated by Ray and his allies. The traitors' defeat leads to Franklin's frustration, and he reveals a map showing the location of the kingdom's forces, marking his next target. In a daring rescue, Ray and his team confront Franklin's monsters, while Marie works to outmaneuver his plans with Elizabeth's help. Franklin reveals that he's using a complex strategy with monsters and distractions, leading to an explosive showdown. As Marie confronts the orchestrator of the chaos, the king of orchestras, Velderbel, she prepares for another intense battle, while the kingdom's masters continue to fight for survival, facing a variety of powerful enemies. A short flashback shows Velderbel as a musician, but realizing he couldn't create anything. Then he stumbled upon Infinite Dendrogram, where any possibility is endless. Marie is having a hard time fighting off Velderbel and his embryo. She takes a huge damage, and that's why we are obliged to see her flashback. In real life, she is a mangaka, and one day she was just dropped. Although another publisher picked her up, she found it hard to breathe life into Marie, a character she created in her manga series. At a loss, she then stumbled upon Infinite Dendrogram. So by playing the game, she hopes to find what she had lost sight of, and role-playing as Marie would give her new ideas for her character. So back to the fight. In short, Marie owns this old dude because of some ability of hers to just vanish from this world, although it eats up a lot of her SP. Franklin rendezvous with Hugo. Franklin is going outside to fight all the royal knights. He also wants Hugo to let only Ray through if he comes by, because he wants to fight him. And now we get a flashback from Yuri Gaudier. A French girl looked like she lived a happy, rich, upper-class French life. It turned out her father was a wife-beater, and her older sister ran away because he hated her clay crafting hobby, and also she was against the arranged marriage. Then the parents divorced, and Yuri was left to ponder if she could have protected her family better then. Protected them like the brave knight she always saw in plays. And when she stumbled upon Infinite Dendrogram, that's why she embodied her avatar as that childhood wish of hers. She is Hugo. Ray arrives and is shocked to see Hugo on the side of the enemy. Hugo lets Ray pass as per Franklin's request, so Rook will have to take over fighting him. But first, Ray and Hugo clash once just to see who is superior. Franklin easily defeats the Magic Knights because of his Ray Sting killer, and the only person who can take it on arrives. Now we delve into Rook's flashback. Born in London to a detective father and a thief mother, he inherited both their abilities. They didn't want him to follow their footsteps and left him to figure out what he wanted to do in life. Unfortunately, they died in a plane crash. At a loss, Rook discovered Infinite Dendrogram as a client requested his father to unlock its mysteries. He hopes this can show him the way. Back to Rook and Hugo's fight. We see Rook using his deductive skills to explain Hugo's freezing power, and then also another explanation why he is such an irritating and kind of person he hates. Apparently, it is just to buy time so that Rook can combine with Babylon to become some dragon armor hybrid. Too bad Rook didn't have enough power to finish off Hugo. But at least he brought him out from his mecha to charm him. Now to focus on Ray's fight. Franklin reminds Ray that time is running out. He throws the controller into RSK. The only way to save the city is to destroy RSK. Ray's moves are ineffective on RSK because it seems Franklin knows all of Ray's stats. When he got those animal ears, It also acted as a transmitter of his stats and abilities for 24 hours. Hence, this allowed Franklin to learn all his moves and created a monster specifically to kill him. Franklin claims he lost to Ray once and made it a point to get revenge. Franklin was the one who set up Miliana to look for berries at the ruins. Had Ray and Shu not interfered, his assassination plans would have worked. Ray is ever pumped up to punch this guy. Ray uses his ability to check that the monster's real name isn't RSK, but something else. It could be RSK summoned another monster inside that is doing all the attacks. Hence, outside attacks by Ray didn't work. He has an idea to take it down, but it is a risky gamble. After all, it is not like Franklin knew his other newly acquired skills after that 24-hour window. Ray gathers up all the fear of the people in the city, condenses it into one big compressed chunk of air, and then releases it all at once. Once he gets on RSK, he uses Gardranda's ability to nullify it, and Ray stands out as the winner. After defeating Franklin's monster, Ray collapses in Nemesis' arms, unconscious from the injuries sustained. Liliana manages to keep him alive with force heal, but his charred left arm was beyond saving. Theodore orders anyone with extra MP to use them on Ray and other injured people, while ordering his men to come with him to rescue Elizabeth. Franklin applauds them, revealing that they delayed the release of monsters to 251 seconds past the initial deadline and that his remote for releasing them had broken. He holds up a spare, timerless one, and then presses it to detonate the bombs he planted all over the city. When Liliana orders the other knights to treat Ray, Franklin takes notice and taunts them, asking if she was off to give aid or if she meant to defeat him, and that either way, it would never work. He spawns his next two monsters, Kos and DGP, also mentioning that RSK, whom Ray defeated earlier, was actually the weakest monster he spawned, and that Kos and DGP have the battle strength of a legendary album. Franklin claims that he used the RSK because Ray took down his demi-dragworm, and that he thought he'd try again with a pure dragon tier beast before Ray defeated it. He swore to repay his debt and humiliation in full. When he turned to check how the bomb detonation went, he noticed that the bombs hadn't detonated yet, before realizing that this was because the superior killer, with her great conceal skills, managed to disable the bombs. He summons his superior embryo, Pandemonium, which is actually a giant monster making factory come fortress. He will be releasing over 56,000 monsters into the city, and the first 5,000 are his suicide series. Ray is healed enough to go back into battle. Also, Franklin knows Marie is superior killer because of her aura, so no point hiding it from him. Are they both enough to take on the monsters? Not if Rook and other rookie adventurers pitch in. Meanwhile, Shu has changed to his true form and breaks the barrier in the arena. Ray knows he might not survive this, but will put up a fight till he dies. Not going to happen, because Shu is here. Because this guy is the king of destruction. His strength is off the charts as he easily destroys the monsters. Figaro and Zuniu know that there are self-destruct monsters in the arena, and Franklin will not hesitate to use it once this plan fails. You bet they're going to do something about it. A huge mecha destroyer pops up to give Pandemonium a run for its money. This is when Franklin realizes his plans are all foiled and he cannot win. No matter how he planned it, they came up with something better to counter. There's only one way to erase their victory and his defeat. Franklin activates some bug under the arena, but it was swiftly dealt with by a master in the stands. Franklin wonders why Shu didn't attack his Pandemonium directly, and that would have stopped everything. Elizabeth is here. Also, Ray wanted to come here and ask Franklin a few questions. Among them are his thoughts about this world's NPCs. Franklin doesn't know if this is really cutting-edge technology or if the NPCs are aliens from another world. One thing he knows is that either way, this is not a game, and he would still have done the same thing. He is done being manipulated and will crush anyone who stands in his way. Franklin realizes too late that Ray was perhaps the decoy because Marie has rescued Elizabeth right under his nose. Franklin needs a way to get out of this, seeing he has totally lost. But Hugo hinting Franklin is his sister comes to protect him from Ray's attack. Ray, using his mouth, wielding nemesis to cut through Hugo, because that other arm is to punch Franklin in the face. He really resigned himself to his defeated fate. Liliana heals Ray's wounded up, but there is nothing she can do about the one that got cut off. Tsukuyo may be able to do something, but that's another problem. Everyone celebrates this victory as we see Shu, Figaro, and Zunyu talk about the king of beasts, who is physically the strongest, and the earth, who is magically the strongest, being part of the spectators in the arena. They wonder if the former was in cohorts with Franklin, because if she was, the plan would have been designed around her. As for the latter, he could be here after hearing about Franklin's terrorism plans. Speaking of him, Shu once fought him to a draw. Back in Drife, Franklin fires Hugo from his clan. Velderbel will also be leaving since he has another goal. He talks about the many people who came and went in this game under him. He must have gotten used to all the betrayals. He asks why Hugo protected him in those final moments. Hugo doesn't know and starts crying. Franklin suggests Hugo go travel the world and broaden his horizons. One day they'll meet again. There's a birthday present as a parting gift. Can't forget little sister's birthday. Of course, this is all part of Franklin's plan because with Hugo out of the way, he will no longer have the conscience to hold him back. So this time he is going all out to kill Ray. We see Ray and Nemesis in an exhibition match with Marie. And it looks like Elizabeth has snuck out from the castle again to go watch this. Ray isn't too happy he has earned a lot of nicknames. Unbreakable is one of them. Later, Ray disconnects himself from the game and continues his college studies in the real world.